This training is the culmination of all the concepts we've been discussing. We've spoken about headlines, we've spoken about leads, we've spoken about fascinations. This training will teach you how to write a comprehensive sales letter. Whether it's in video format or a text-based letter, writing copy for a sales letter will allow you to convert completely cold traffic into buyers. And sales letters, based on the structure I'm about to teach you, are responsible for generating 7 to 8 figures in sales. So if you want to learn how to write a sales letter that generates those kind of results for your business, you need to pay attention to the structure I'm about to teach you. Now, a lot of the concepts I will teach in this training are inspired by the RMBC method, and the structure is something that can be applied to many different types of offers. So with that being said, let's get right into the overview of the structure, and then we'll break down each element of the structure so that you can write copy for a comprehensive sales letter. And then we'll wrap it up with an example or two. In a sales letter, you must hook prospects with the lead, explain the unique mechanisms behind the problem and the solution, and then close the sale with a variety of tactics. We've discussed pretty much every single element of the sales letter. The lead, the unique mechanisms. We've talked about the closes, how to get the average order value up. We've talked about all these concepts. Now let's put it all together. The structure of a sales letter is as follows. You start with the lead. You transition into a background story that may provide proof or credibility or establish some sort of authority. Then you transition into explaining the unique mechanism behind the problem your audience is having. And from there, you talk about the unique mechanism of the solution to that problem. Once you've spoken about the unique mechanism and discussed how powerful it is, you can then transition into the reveal of the product that you're offering, the product that uses that unique mechanism to solve the problem your audience is having. And finally, you make your closing arguments with a variety of tactics that we'll discuss. From there, if prospects still have not clicked to the next page to buy the offer, then you hit them with a couple of FAQ questions to overcome any objections. So that's the basic structure of a sales letter. Let's break down each one of these in more detail. The lead is the first element of your sales letter, and you should review the 4-part series I put together on leads. And the structure for the lead here is based on the problem solution lead that I've discussed in part 3 of my training. You can use a story lead, you can use a proclamation, but at the end of the day, the structure of the lead has to incorporate a couple important aspects. You need to tease the benefits and tease the unique mechanism. You have to address the skepticism and mention some credibility and authority figures. This way, you're going to build up the anticipation for the solution and the unique mechanism behind that solution. You should also include some broad testimonials to provide some social proof. Once you've hooked your audience with the lead, you want to transition to your background story. Establish credibility and authority with a brief introduction and relate to your audience. Who are you? Add credibility builders when appropriate. For example, if the spokesperson is a doctor or some kind of expert, or if that's your background, it doesn't matter. Just establish authority, establish credibility, and relatability as well. So for example, you can say, I or someone close to me was just like you, the audience. Here's the emotional story behind what happened. I was trying traditional solutions and using the advice of mainstream experts. It just wasn't working. Then something happened, some kind of dramatic trigger event, and the pain point was made worse, where to the point where I had to do something. I need to change. And so it began the search for truth, some answers. You can also include an expert character, some kind of sensei type who guides and assists the main character. And just to be clear, I'm transitioning between first and third person. This story can be told in the first person, or it can be told in third person as well. Both are effective. It just depends on what kind of lead you're using and what kind of story you're using in the sales letter. So once you've established the background story and the main character of the story is on this quest to discover a solution to the problem, the main character is going to come across the unique mechanism, okay? And you're going to introduce the unique mechanism behind the audience's problem. You're going to explain why they are failing, explain the real cause of the problem. And the root cause should be surprising and hopefully counterintuitive. And that's the way you keep the audience engaged and hooked to the story. You want to back up the unique mechanism with credibility and proof elements. So introduce scientific research and evidence that shows you know what you're talking about and the reasons why the unique mechanism you're explaining is actually true. Once you've introduced the unique mechanism of the problem, it's time to introduce the unique mechanism behind the solution. And the unique mechanism of the solution should address the unique root cause of the problem. It should target the unique mechanism of the problem, and it should be logically linked to the problem. For example, if bad bacteria is the unique mechanism behind weight gain, if bad bacteria is causing your weight gain, the solution should be a novel way to get rid of bad bacteria in your gut and replace it with good bacteria to solve the problem. The unique mechanism of the problem is solved with the unique mechanism of the solution. And of course, provide credibility and proof elements, including scientific research and evidence. Use analogies and metaphors to explain difficult concepts. For example, let's say you are selling a joint supplement and people are experiencing joint pain. In that case, what you can use as an analogy is the synovial fluid between the joints, which keeps your joints lubricated and pain-free, that starts to dry up. And so you can use an analogy like a river to explain how the synovial fluid functions between your joints. And when that river is drying up, you start experiencing pain and friction. So use analogies and metaphors to explain difficult concepts, especially when it comes to something related to finance or health or science. It's very important that you do that. People will remember it better, and people will be convinced more easily when you use simple analogies and metaphors. Now that the audience is educated on the unique mechanism behind the problems and the potential solution, it's time to introduce the offer, the product that you're selling. So you're going to build it up and reveal it. Okay, so introduce the product that uses the unique mechanism to solve the audience's problem. You can use a story like this. The main character of the story is looking for a readily available version of the solution, something that will just end his quest and solve the problem immediately. And he discovers that what exists out there, the solutions that use this unique mechanism, are flawed. So he has to do it himself and create a novel new solution. Or he works with an expert like a scientist or a doctor to create a novel new solution. You start testing it, working on it. Maybe there are problems and setbacks, but eventually there's success and breakthrough, and there's a proof of concept, proof that the product works. Other people, friends and family are asking for it, and the product is born. So this is one type of story you can use, especially when it comes to health supplements. You can definitely use something like that. Like there are certain ingredients that target a unique mechanism, and when you combine those ingredients into one little pill in one supplement, it's the complete solution to the problem. And so perhaps you're working with a scientist or a doctor to create that pill, create that supplement to get the results the audience needs. So revealing the product like this with the benefits and features is very, very important. And you do it only after you have educated the audience on the unique mechanism behind their problem and the unique mechanism behind the solution. So now that you've introduced the product, it's time to use a variety of closing tactics to wrap up the sales letter and get the sale. You reveal the product details, what's included, what makes it special, the USP, features and benefits. You discuss and dismiss other alternatives, surgery, injections. If you're selling some kind of supplement, they're expensive, ineffective, there are side effects to modern medication, and so on. Keep building up the value of the product by showing the benefits, the features, show how cost effective it is, how effective it is in solving the problems, introduce additional testimonials, talk about how to use the product and how easy it is. Perhaps you can use some optional urgency. For example, Big Pharma or the Wall Street or the government doesn't want you to have this solution. You can use scarcity. Demand is high, supplies are limited, and so on. You can also discuss how the person selling the product, the main character, just wants to share the solution with everyone and make life better for everyone. There's an emotional aspect to it. Justify the price and reveal it. For example, you can say, traditionally in retail, it would cost $100, but because I'm selling directly online, I can sell this for $50 and pass the savings along to my customers. You can also talk about how smart people should buy more. Longer term effects can only come from buying more and using a product for 3 to 6 months. You'll walk them through the checkout process, what happens to after you click the button to the next link, how to check out, how safe and secure everything is. You'll throw in a guarantee, 100% money back guarantee for the next 30 to 60 days, make a call to action again, and then finally you can say, look, you have 2 choices. You can either continue to have the problem you're having and keep suffering, or you can take action today and change your life forever. But time is limited. Make the right choice today. Use urgency, use scarcity, and then call to action. Finally, you can wrap up with thank you for watching. And if people are still sticking around for the video or they're scrolling through and reading, you can provide some FAQ, answer any questions that people may have to overcome objections. And that's pretty much it. That's how you structure a sales letter. And now let's take a look at an example. So the example we're going to look at is selling a hair supplement. And it's targeted to older women over the age of 40 or 50 who have thinning or unhealthy hair. And the way the sales letter works is it opens up with a story lead. The story lead transitions into a quest to solve the problem. The main character of the story meets an expert. The expert describes the unique mechanism behind the problem, thinning, unhealthy hair, and then provides the unique solution, followed by the product reveal, which is a hair supplement with a variety of ingredients. And then you close with a variety of tactics to get the sale. So this is text-based. There are a lot of video-based sales letters. However, I figured for the purposes of efficiency, it's a lot easier to focus on a text-based letter. You could easily take the text written here and do a voiceover with it and turn it into a script. So this would work just as well with a video sales letter. With that being said, let's take a look at Divine Locks. Divine Locks is the offer, and it starts off with a curiosity-based statement. Rogue cosmetologist breaks silence to reveal the Divine Locks method to rejuvenating the thick, healthy, and beautiful hair of your youth. Plus, the true story of how a woman's hair nightmare sparked an unforgettable journey to discover this rogue cosmetologist's secret to revitalizing a radiant head of hair in as little as 2 weeks. Curiosity comes from Divine Locks method and the rogue cosmetologist breaking silence. You add an element of social proof and authority with the rogue cosmetologist, who is an expert in this field, and it offers a solution. So you've got the combinations of a story lead, the problem solution lead, and as well as the secret lead. So you've got a mixture of everything. Overall, I've classified this as a blend between the secret and story lead. You'll see that the story lead here begins in the middle of the action, as you typically do with a story lead. It was my daughter's wedding, but everyone was looking at me. My name is Rebecca Armstrong, and just a week earlier, I've been so excited to see my eldest daughter marry her fiance. So this takes place in the wedding setting, and it talks about how a mother is attending the wedding of her daughter. Before she goes to the wedding, she decides to have her hair done. And there at the salon, they mess up her hair. She already had very thin, very unhealthy, fine and wispy strands of hair. Her scalp had become visible, and they were so dry and damaged that they would break very easily. So this woman had a problem the audience is probably dealing with. And if the audience is not dealing with it, they're going to stop reading. So the lead here is focused on hooking anybody who has this problem and triggering emotional pain points. So you start in the middle of the action. You were at the wedding. Everyone was looking at her. She introduces herself very quickly, and you get to the pain points right here, the bullets right here with the sad face. Deep down, I'd always known how bad my hair looked. I was ashamed. It's a punch to the gut, right? You're really hitting them with the feelings, the emotions associated with the problem. But then you have to tease a little bit. You have to keep your audience hooked, right? You're hitting these pain points really hard with the audience, but what's going to keep them reading more? You have to tease some kind of solution, some kind of benefit, some kind of story perhaps. So this is where you tease something. This one mistake also led to a chance meeting, a Harvard study, and ultimately the Divine Locks method for revitalizing your thick, full, and youthful hair. You can see you still haven't revealed what the Divine Locks method is. You haven't really told them anything except that she's going to meet someone who's going to help them discover the Divine Locks method for getting the solution. So you're leaving little breadcrumbs, but you're still not revealing everything. And you need to continually, in your copy, hook your audience, continually hook them, and provide little information piece by piece to keep them reading. So sentences like these, when you put them in the copy like this, it's very important because it keeps the reader reading more. They forget why they're reading. If you just went on about the story, oh, my hair looked awful, I was miserable, I was having this problem, eventually people will just lose interest. They're like, okay, what's the point? Where are we going with this, right? So making sure that you inject these little breadcrumbs and jolting people awake to, remind them why they're reading this and, really trigger curiosity over and over again. These sentences are very important. Now we move into the story a little bit more. I had booked an appointment with a stylist. I wanted to look great. She arrives at the hair salon, and then she gets her hair done, and her throat was already tightening up. I had to do everything I could to stop myself from bursting into tears. She had totally ruined my hair. It was so thin, my parting looked worse. Okay, so we're in this nightmare scenario now in this story where her hair is worse than ever before. The husband looks at the hair, and he can't do much about it. The daughter is not going to be happy when she sees that the hair is in bad shape. She tried everything, all sorts of solutions. These are solutions that the audience has probably tried as well. Head wraps, concoctions, filling the gaps with eyeshadow, thickening shampoo, different hairstyles, right? I was so desperate I even considered shaving my head and getting a wig, but I couldn't cut off the small amounts of hair I had left. So, very interesting. And then you hit them, we jolt the audience again. My daughter's wedding would become the most mortifying event of my life, but also start my journey to uncover the Divine Locks method for revitalizing a beautiful, youthful head of hair. Again, you're not telling what this is, but you keep enticing the reader, enticing them and teasing them with this solution. Now you're going to give them a few more breadcrumbs. You should know the best part of the Divine Locks method. It works for everyone, whether you're 25 or 65. Stress, childbirth, hormone levels, whatever the root cause is, whether your hair is straight, curly, or tightly coiled, works for everyone. Okay, that's good to know. That means I'm going to keep reading because that means that there may be a solution for me as the reader with the problem that I'm having. You can throw in some testimonials now. Again, you haven't revealed anything, but the testimonials will provide some proof, some credibility to the offer. So let's move back to the story because we've already jolted the reader in increased curiosity by putting that little section in. On the day of the wedding, everything began perfectly. she had to take off her wedding hat as part of the family. And then, as she was walking down the aisle, everyone could see it, the bald patches. There was a deathly silence. Very emotional copy, right? It's really triggering the embarrassment, the shame, the humiliation. People whispering, is she sick? I didn't think that she was that old. Blah, blah, blah. Everyone was looking at the mother instead of the daughter. My daughter forced a smile. Her new husband, and the best man took turns to talk to the guests. And then this is the real emotional part of the story. Mom, you've ruined everything. The daughter is extremely angry at the mom for this problem that's kind of out of her control. So the mom in this nightmare scenario is she is having the worst time in the world. She has this problem. She can't do anything about it. Her family hates her. She's embarrassed. She's humiliated. She's ashamed. Jolt the reader again by thank God every single day that this isn't where the story ended, because just 24 hours later, there's that same repetition. Divine Locks method. You gotta keep teasing them. You're really building up the anticipation now. Now it's time to transition from the nightmare story to the quest. Okay, so the quest is going to come from a guest at the wedding. I felt a tap on my shoulder. I wiped my eyes and turned around to see a woman. She must have been the same age as me, but her hair was incredible. My name is Carly, blah, 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 Anna the husband. She's, going to provide some kind of solution here. And she's like, the main character says, I'd already tried every trick. And again, these are solutions that the audience may have already tried. Stopped all heat styling, argan oil, 2 liters of water every day, used an onion garlic mask every day, cotton pillows with silk, washed my hair once a week. Tried all this, didn't work. But Carly's hair looked so great that when she told me she could help, I had to ask how. What she said next blew me away. It would lead me on the kind of journey you only ever see in the movies. And then let's transition back to some testimonials to really build up the anticipation of this divine golden locks method. Scrolling down, she talks about Carly's story, how she found a cosmetologist called Kayla Roshan. By chance or divine intervention, Kayla Roshan had spent her life researching and finding solutions for her hair troubles, including the divine locks method for rejuvenating your own healthy head of hair. So now it's time to embark on the quest. Go talk to and meet with Kayla Roshan, the rogue cosmetologist. So she goes on this quest. She drives 5 hours away in a different state. She meets with Kayla Roshan. She says the divine locks method is going to change your life. Again, building up that anticipation. She talks about a scientific study from Harvard Medical School. She talks about how these dermal papillae are cells that sit at the base of your hair follicle and deliver important nutrients to your hair. It reveals that the dermal papilla are responsible for hair loss, thinning, and virtually every other issue. So basically, these dermal papillae need to provide nourishing nutrients to the hair to keep them healthy. Without a steady stream of nutrients reaching our hair, each strand gets more brittle, wispier, and sheds more. There you go. What's happening here is you're talking about the unique mechanism behind why the audience has thinning and wispy hair. It's because the nutrients are not getting to the hair. It's not about styling less. It's not about using masks or any of the home remedies that they've mentioned in this sales letter or any of the audience has tried. This is about nutrition and getting it internally through the dermal papillae. From there, you've got studies also showing a number of dermal papilla cells have as you age. So while they're being pinched, they're stopping the nutrient flow and they're disappearing altogether. So it's impossible to fix your hair from the outside, no matter how many oils, creams, or lotions you rub into your hair. You're turning the reader's world upside down. The audience believes that you want to put oils, creams, and lotion in your hair. It's not about external, it's about internal. This is the power of the unique mechanism. This is why the audience has been failing for so long. They're not treating it internally, they're treating it externally. That's why all the solutions you tried before have failed in the past. Kayla, is there a way to unpinch my dermal papilla cells? I asked. She's like, honey, that's why I invited you here. You're still in the story context. Okay, there's a 2014 Harvard study. Doctors didn't know much about the cells. So she took it upon herself to find a safe and easy way to unpinch the cells. Again, now is the expert's quest to find a solution. She uncovered an obscure group of natural herbs. Okay, it's what she calls her Divine Lock super nutrient. So she finds these nutrients that unlock and multiply the dermal papilla cells with the super nutrient. And so we scroll down. We still don't know what it is exactly. She handed me the bottles. They were small and taste-free. Okay, so now we've got the solution in our hands, and she starts getting results, right? It's part of the story. And you're scrolling down. By now, it looked totally different. This is talking about the benefits. My hair had grown by a full inch. The split ends had vanished. And it was finally strong enough to curl. Really, really transitioning from that nightmare scenario to a breakthrough and getting the ideal life without that problem. Mom, you look like a different woman. Now the daughter's really excited and happy. She even apologized for how she reacted at the wedding. Really still continuing that trend of emotions. It's been an amazing comeback. So another friend of hers wanted to try the Divine Locks method. The Divine Locks bottles were not available online. Okay, we're creating that story behind the scarcity and urgency, how the product came to be. So Kayla and this main character decide to create the supplement. So she's going to do something to spread the good word and make sure that she's helping everyone. Now it's time to reveal more about the product. It's backed by the highest standard and most rigorous science. As you scroll through, here it is, Divine Locks. The supplement's been revealed. It's been developed by Kayla Roshan herself. It will renew the flow of vital nutrients to your hair, revitalizing the thick, stunning hair of your 20s. Scrolling down, okay. FDA registered, GMP certified facility. Here are the benefits. As we scroll down, we get some more testimonials. Here's like the results you can get from the studies. You're talking about the unique mechanism behind the problem and the unique mechanism of the solution that helps unpinch those cells, restoring the flow of nutrients to your hair follicles as quickly as possible. Here are the supplements that you need to do that. We enlarge each dermal papillae cell with your next enhancing nutrient. It's called Gotukola. It creates wider dermal papilla cells. From there, you talk about the benefits, really hammering that home with all the supplements. Silica promoted significant hair growth in women, backed by studies. So you pack all this stuff in. MSM, biotin, selenium, methionine, alpha-lipoic acid, astaxanthin, hyaluronic acid. You've got all this stuff in this supplement. But the only place you can find these nutrients is inside the Divine Locks complex. Okay, so it's original, it's unique, and if you want to buy it, well, before we get there, we talk about a few FAQs to overcome objections. And now it's time to sell it, the call to action. The more bottles you purchase today, the bigger the discount will be for you. So getting that average order value up. All right, so now we've got the first CTA. Set me free, not add to cart, set me free, volume discount. The more you buy, the more you save, and the higher that average order value goes up. Now it's time to talk about what the checkout process is like. Again, another call to action. Finally, if you're still unsure or on the fence, you've got the 100% money back guarantee. And from there, you'll get a full refund. Another call to action. Let's talk about where you stand today. You have a choice between continuing with the problem and suffering, or you can take control back over your head of hair. The choice couldn't be simpler. Another call to action. If you're still on the fence, here's the full FAQ. Full list of ingredients. Is it safe? Side effects? How often should I take it? How long before I see the benefits? How do I get the biggest discount possible? How do I get started? So you got the FAQs, another final call to action, and finally your standard footer page with references. So you can see how this works, how the sales page works. It literally goes through each element that I described in this video. And this is exactly how you write a comprehensive sales letter.